America is trying to play empire. The government is lying to you. We need to get back to focusing on ourselves. These agencies became more powerful than the government itself. End all of these wars.
Welcome to the Quest for Clarity podcast. Here is your host, Nolan Denaro.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Quest for Clarity podcast. I'm your host, Nolan Denaro. Thank you so much for joining me today. We got a very interesting episode for you today. We got a couple of deep state conspiracies to discuss. So we're going to start off by discussing Tulsi Gabbard, the Department of National Intelligence, her latest revelations when it comes to the Russian collusion hoax. That was, for those who don't know, the Russian collusion hoax was back in Donald Trump's first term, what the media and the Democrat Party were basically pushing for the first Donald Trump term, for almost the entirety of the first term. After Donald Trump won in 2016, and this was all revealed, we all knew this, but this was all revealed to pretty much certainty through Tulsi Gabbard's release of different documents over the past couple of days. The Obama administration, at the end of his term, and the DOJ and the FBI all colluded to create the narrative that Donald Trump had colluded with Russia to essentially steal the 2016 presidential election from Hillary Clinton. Now, there was never any backing for this. They ran with what was known as the Steele dossier to essentially drum up a false narrative based on nothing, and it was proven later on that it was based on nothing. Just about 3 years later, they came out and said there was no evidence for this. But they ran with the narrative that Donald Trump had colluded with Vladimir Putin to steal the election. Now, this scandal, which, if true, would have been one of the biggest scandals in American history, that Vladimir Putin basically overthrew our elections, which it wasn't true. But this scandal basically took over Donald Trump's first term, and the media, every single day, without any care for the facts of the case, without any critical thinking skills at all of them, from CNN to MSNBC to people on Fox News, even many of the conservatives, believed that this was true. And they all went along and mindlessly, just like a bunch of sheep that they are, all repeated Russian collusion. Putin stole our election. Donald Trump's a Russian agent. Treason. Overthrow of our elections. And it basically caused Donald Trump to have no first term. He couldn't really do much of his agenda because he was so involved in this. He couldn't get through things he wanted to get through. He couldn't trust anybody in his administration. The DOJ and the FBI were actively working against the sitting president. And it was even revealed. Go watch the 60 Minutes interview where Andrew McCabe, I believe it was, revealed that actually the FBI was trying to get the cabinet to go ahead and use the 25th Amendment to throw Donald Trump out of power for this after he fired James Comey from the FBI. So they actively were trying to get Donald Trump out of power. His own FBI was trying to get him out of power. He wasn't convicted of a crime. They just actively wanted to throw him out of power. So this was an attempted deep state coup of a president in the first term. And now it's all coming out that people like Obama, James Comey, all were involved and completely aware that this was not true. Examples of this would be before the election, before and after the election. Tulsi Gabbard is now releasing investigations that the DOJ did that showed that Russia was not involved in the changing of votes in the election. They weren't involved in colluding with Donald Trump in the election. They all knew that none of this was true. But still, at the request of Barack Obama, according to Tulsi Gabbard's allegations, they manufactured intelligence to essentially frame Donald Trump as being a Russian agent. So now the question is, do we get justice for this? Do we see people like Barack Obama? Do we see people like James Comey and John Brennan? Do we see these people actually arrested? Do we see them charged with crimes like Tulsi Gabbard is saying is possible, like Donald Trump is saying is possible? Or is this going to be another example of what we're going to get into in a second? And this just turns into a Jeffery Epstein situation where the most powerful people in the world all can do whatever they want with complete immunity, and nothing will ever happen to them because they're above the law. As much as they want to say Donald Trump, no president's above the law when they were convicting Donald Trump of 34 felonies. But Barack Obama, yeah, he's above the law. James Comey, he's above the law. John Brennan, they're all above the law. So the questions are, will we get justice? Because Tulsi Gabbard herself said this was a treasonous attempted overthrow of a presidential administration. She said this. She used the word treason, which I'm not sure if it's the right word or not. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if that's the correct term. I've heard people say that it wouldn't be that while it's bad, it's not treason necessarily. But she said treason. She's out here as the director of national intelligence, accusing the former president of the United States, of committing treason. That's a serious allegation, and the question is, do we get justice for that? Trump also released Trump does this all the time, where he releases random AI videos, but he released an AI video. And this is pretty significant for the president of the United States to be releasing this, of Barack Obama getting arrested. So, it seems like it's on the table. The question is, are we going to actually see some justice in this case? Because I know one area we're not seeing justice, and that's the Jeffrey Epstein cover-up. Now let's get into that. We'll continue covering the Tulsi Gabbard Russiagate situation as it develops, but that's what we have at the moment. The Epstein cover-up continues as we speak. So you'll remember, I'm not sure if I covered it or not, but this was the latest on the story, was that Donald Trump instructed Pam Bondi to essentially request that grand jury testimony from the Epstein case all be released. This was likely as a result of all the backlash they were getting, which, grand jury testimony, this isn't what we want, but it's something. Well, the latest is a judge actually blocked the grand jury testimony from being released. So we're back at zero. We're back at nothing. The judge is now blocking the grand jury testimony from being released. So now what? Now what can we say? We also had Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, block a vote on the release of the Epstein files. A bill was proposed by Representatives Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna to release the Epstein files and get complete transparency. Let's get all of this out in the open. Let's release everything. That's what they're saying. That's what the bill was. It was a very simple bill. Release all the Epstein files. And Mike Johnson wanted to get to summer recess so bad that he blocked a vote on it. And here's what he had to say for himself when he was asked by reporters why he wouldn't allow the House to vote on releasing the Epstein files. Take a look.
He has said that he wants all the credible files related to Epstein to be released. He's asked the Attorney General to request the grand jury files of the court. All of that is in process right now. My belief is we need the administration to have the space to do what it is doing, and if further congressional action is necessary or appropriate, then we'll look at that. But I don't think we're at that point right now because we agree with the president.
So no vote on this resolution before.
No.
So the messaging is horrific. Clearly. So the idea is that what they want you to believe is that simultaneously Mike Johnson and Donald Trump both want these files to be released. But Mike Johnson won't allow it to be released because Donald Trump's going to do it, and that's what Donald Trump's doing right now. But no, he's not. He's not doing it right now. He was requesting the grand jury testimony to be released, which is now it's not. And even if his thought is that Donald Trump wants these files to be released, then wouldn't he be okay with Mike Johnson releasing them? And if Donald Trump is trying to release these files, then why don't we? If everyone in the world wants to release these files, if Mike Johnson wants complete justice for the victims, if Mike Johnson wants to see all these people locked away, if Donald Trump wants justice for all these victims and for the people who committed these crimes to be locked away, then why can't we do it? If all the supposed most powerful people in our government, the Speaker of the House, the President of the United States, Pam Bondi claims she wants to see justice for, if all these people want justice for the victims of these crimes, then why are we so incapable of getting anything released? What does that say about our political system? That seemingly, if it's seriously true that the motive of all these people is pure and they want all this stuff released, then why can't we get it released? Why is it seriously that one judge can say, no, we actually can't release the grand jury testimony? Maybe it's that they don't want all this released. Maybe it's that our government doesn't want us to see what the truth is behind Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe that's the case. So the messaging of this entire time has been horrific. It's that we want this release, we don't want this release, we want justice for the victims, we can't release this, we can't release that. There's no straight message. It's clear they spent no time getting messaging plans down for this. See, that's the difference between this and the Tulsi Gabbard situation. It does seem they sat down and talked about what they're going to do about the Russian collusion hoax and the Barack Obama and the Comey and all this, and the storyline that they're going to push behind that. But with the Epstein stuff, it's just shut up. Don't talk about it. You're a conspiracy theorist if you talk about it. It doesn't seem like they had any messaging they had no messaging together. They don't seem to be on the same page whatsoever, whether it's Kash Patel and Dan Bongino at the FBI with Pam Bondi. Like, they are not on the same page. Donald Trump's not on the same page as any of them. And Mike Johnson says he's on the same page as the president, but for some reason, if we're on the same page as the president, we can't get anything done. So I don't know what's going on with all this. All I know is that this messaging does not work. Nobody believes this. And now we're stuck in this place where nobody's believing this. So why should they believe that anyone involved in the Russiagate collusion is going to be put to justice? Why should I've seen tweets from some of the biggest supporters, from the biggest MAGA people, saying, don't get our hopes up this time. You wouldn't bring justice to the Epstein people, so why should we believe that people like Barack Obama are going to be put in front of a trial, are going to have criminal convictions? Why would we possibly believe that? No one trusts that justice is going to be served in this case, because it's already been proven that in some cases justice isn't actually the main priority, especially for people like Mike Johnson, who, if he really wanted justice, would allow the House to vote on this topic. Now, this is not a good situation for the Trump administration when it comes to approval either. This case has done severe damage. I mean, look, there was just a CNN, and again, take this with a grain of salt. It's a CNN poll. There was a CNN poll that said Trump's approval on the Epstein case was at negative 37%. So 2/3 of the country think that he's handling this poorly. That's not a good look. And let's think again about what the Epstein case represents. It represents the reason people were fired up about it to begin with is because it represents what people see as the elites getting away with everything and acting in horrific ways. Again, this is the allegations of abuse of children. And it's the allegations that there was an intelligence operation operating on American soil that was seeking to entrap and blackmail the most powerful people in American society and in the world. So all this represents kind of the perfect image of the elites that get away with everything. And it's not a good look for the Trump administration, who said they were coming in to drain the swamp, who said they were coming in to clean house and expose all the criminals, to now be performing a cover-up act for all these criminals. And then you expect us to believe you when we're talking about Russiagate. Like, I hope to be completely proven wrong on all of this. I hope that we find complete justice in Russiagate. I hope to see Obama face justice. I hope to see him in front of a trial. I hope to see all these people who, according to Tulsi Gabbard, committed treason. I'd like to see these people face justice for their crimes. But I'm gonna have to wait to see it before I can believe all this is gonna happen. Because now we have to put everything into, now everything's in question. Because it was Russiagate, it was COVID, it was Jeffrey Epstein, all these things that we were told we're going to see justice on. And now one of the biggest one, pretty much, the Epstein case, is essentially being swept under the rug. So I'm going to have to wait and see before I can just believe whatever I'm being told about Russiagate. Do I believe there were crimes committed? Yes, of course. I believe this was a complete deep state coup attempt against Donald Trump in his first term. I think these people should face justice. I'm just going to wait to see it before I can just hop on the bandwagon of, yes, arrest Barack Obama, and then I'm going to look like an idiot when nothing happens. So I'm going to have to wait and see for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think I'll end it off there. Again, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Spotify, and X as well to see some more bonus content on there. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day.